Guys, today we're going to talk about how when gets blocked, you aren't getting up, you aren't having good sex, you don't have the sex drive, and you're not getting the big O, ladies. Are you ready? Our special guest today has the answers. We're here in Arizona. Are you ready? Here we go. Welcome to the Life in Red podcast. This is a way of life that emphasizes positive sexuality, self-love, and confidence. On this journey, red is now your new color. Be courageous. Be passionate. Be sexy. And never stop living your best red life. So now I have one question for you. Are you ready to live your life in red? To join us on this journey, like and subscribe below. Welcome to the Life in Red podcast. I'm Brittany, your host, and today, guys, I'm so excited. We're going to bring spirituality in with sex. So that is my cotton candy. That's my crack. So today we have Jordan Maxwell, the beautiful Jordan Maxwell joining us. Hello, Jordan. It's so good to see you today. Thank you for being on.
I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to talk about this. It's so taboo and so hush hush. So I'm glad that we're saying it.
Yes, exactly. And just so you guys know, Jordan is a holistic wellness practitioner. So I found Jordan online. And what I loved about Jordan, I'll look at you while I'm talking. So just look at all the invisible people out there. Is you were doing the work to help people in all the different ways in the body. And I know that from my own sexual trauma and my sacral chakra. So if we're going to let's get into some woo today. Yeah. So down here, and I call it the V chakra, the kitty cat chakra. I was carrying all kinds of stuff. So when I saw your work, what you do, it's holistic, it's beautiful. I said, let's make a baby and come together and have an episode. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so happy that you found me and reached out to me. And thank you for saying all those wonderful things. It definitely is my main goal. It's the mission of my business. It's the purpose of my life. I feel like to help people in the ways that I have been helped in my own life. So, that is embracing, a more holistic path, diving a little bit deeper into, we take care of the mental, we take care of the physical, but really spiritual is something a lot of times that's inherited by people, and a lot of people sometimes don't take the time to actually break down those beliefs for themselves and decide whether they're true or not. So just going through that own journey in my own life and meeting the practitioners that I met and, finding this balance that encompasses a third thing that I was neglecting was super helpful for me. And then just being able to share that experience for other people who are having similar struggles is just awesome. It's enlightening. It makes you just feel better holistically, mind, body, spirit. And it's great. So I just want to share that with people.
I love it. I love, we all have all kinds of healers on. It can show up as a doctor, a therapist. It can show up as a practitioner, wellness practitioner, a somatic healer. We were joking about earlier. I was making the show notes. And I do use the robot, my best friend, ChatGPT. He helps me, makes me look good. And he said, the expert somatic healing. And Jordan was like, no. And I was just like, Ah, damn robot. Sorry.
They're good, but they're not perfect, just like us. We're good, but we're not
That's
perfect.
right. They're not perfect. You're okay, Jeeves. I call him Jeeves, like Ask Jeeves back in the day, where you would type in what you wanted. So I call him
Yeah.
Jeeves. Anyways, good try, Jeeves. But thank you for being on. And so, a holistic wellness practitioner, before we go into what that is and all that, I want to open up with what this show is going to be about.
Sure, absolutely.
And when Jordan and I were talking, and I always get together with someone who's in the field, whether it's in wellness, sexuality, whatever it is, you're a dominatrix, you teach pegging, I don't know. And I say, let's make a baby. My baby, your baby, and let's make a show together that you're passionate about. And what was cool is Jordan and I came up with a fun topic of feeling into your own body so that you can be open up to getting touched. Who doesn't want that? But if you don't touch you, no one else will in the way that you want. And so that's what we're going to go into today. When I think about you, I touch myself. Well, how about you think about you to touch yourself?
Yeah.
And they will be touching you. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. But first, Jordan, can you tell me what a holistic wellness practitioner is? Because I can't use ChatGPT right now because it would be rude.
Yes, that's okay.
Thank you.
So, holistic wellness practitioner is the title I've given myself. It's not like, well, okay, let me rewind. There are programs that you can go through to be a certified natural health practitioner, a certified holistic health practitioner, and all of these other things, all of these things outside of the traditional medical system. So, but the reason I assign myself that title is because the work that I do encompasses the mind, body, and spirit. It is holistic wellness. So, mentally, for the mental aspect or mental emotional aspect, I have a mentorship program where I mentorship people who are struggling with their spirituality, or just having general struggles in their life. They're, constantly repeating patterns. They're having these things occur in their relationships over and over, and they just cannot seem to get to the root of it. They can't figure it out. So through the mentorship program, I provide that support and basically meet with them on a consistent basis, and we start to figure those things out together, because I feel like I'm very resourceful and I have been through a lot of things. So just that, in addition to my other trainings and stuff, really helps me intuitively tap in with people and help them figure out things that work for them, because this is not a one-size-fits-all type thing. We are all different and unique with different bodies, with different experiences. Just
Thank
everything
God.
is different. So, I really like to use an individual approach to what's going on with you specifically. How did this occur? Why did this occur? How can we heal it so you can start to feel better? So that's
You have a power to you. When you were saying that, there's something about we're going to call it aura today, people.
Yes,
we're
I
going
like
to
that.
we're going to get out of the doctor box. I felt that when you said that. You have a gift. Like, I felt it. Woo-hoo.
I thank you for affirming that. I love doing this for people. The spiritual aspect of the holistic, we'll call it holistic triad or whatever, would be, I'm a certified Reiki practitioner. Reiki
cool.
is an energetic healing practice. It focuses on the 7 energy centers of the body, known as the chakras. And basically, a Reiki practitioner can identify imbalances in these chakras that may be manifesting as a spiritual blockage. It may be manifesting as a physical blockage, like having chronic pain in one part of the body constantly related to that chakra. Or it could be mental, emotional pain. So let's say someone with a blocked crown chakra or a blocked third eye chakra might be someone who suffers from a lot of migraines. And that was me. So that's why I can really speak to that one. I was constantly looking to others for validation and for what I should do and what path I should take, and not trusting my own inner voice. And I had that blockage. And the more I worked through that and dug through it and cleared it out, and learned to trust myself more, my migraines, I'm not even kidding, have dissipated. I have them maybe a few times a year.
That's so great.
Yeah, and then the physical aspect is I'm also a registered yoga teacher. So I love to use yoga in conjunction with the rest of my knowledge and experience to basically create a practice that is also a holistic practice. So, we're getting into the physical, like you talked about, the sacral chakra. If I want to focus on emotional release, I'm going to, create a yoga practice focused on hips and focused on releasing tension and tightness in the hips. And I might look around the room and everyone's crying because they're releasing all those emotions. So that's the physical, mental, and spiritual aspects to what I do as a holistic wellness practitioner.
Ah, that's so cool. You guys, come on. I know that's cool. I mean, and even if you don't believe in this stuff, just hold on, because why not? This is cool. Yes. Like, it's different. Put your little belief mechanisms aside for a second and hear us out, because I could tell you that I had some sexual trauma that showed up subtly, not your typical sexual trauma, but things probably from my lineage all the way to programming and actual big sexual trauma that would be stereotypical sexual trauma. And what's interesting is I think that a lot of my control issues and upbringing led to me not being able to have the big O till later in life, the yoni and the yoni healing and all that stuff. So finally at 35, I hit a prime hormonally, and I have my first experience with intimacy where it was like shabam. It happened, and I was like, it was like the rapture came, and I was just like, and it never stops, and it was beautiful. But I could feel that first week in this new relationship, emotions, tears in my eyes. And I have a lot of guy friends. I am that girl. It's probably for the stereotypical reasons. But I would say they have told me they've had sexual experiences where women have started crying. And I always found it fascinating. But as I learned about what you're talking about, I'm like, they're releasing.
Yes,
they're releasing. It's like a pimple that's like,
yes,
energetically. So cool what you do. And so we're going to get into today. I have an idea to play a little game with you. Later, if you're open to it. It just came to me, and I like to organically go with the flow. Having another sister on here with me, a spiritual sister, I'm like, let's go with the flow together. I got something. So have you heard of Mad Libs?
Mad Lib, yes, I've heard of them. I remember seeing them when I was younger. Remind me what they are, though.
Okay, we'll do this in a little bit since you're open. So I just went to the store with my little redhead, and I bought this Mad Libs book because it reminded me of my childhood. So it'll ask you to fill in, give us a verb ending in ing, give us whatever, an adjective, and you list all them out. Then I'll fill it in with the story, but they have to be sexual. That's the rule. And the theme of the book is not sexual. So let's have some fun. Maybe we can do that later I can't cuss on here. Blah and giggles. So going into holistic healing. So we were talking about how touching yourself. So can you elaborate on touching yourself and break that down for us in your own way?
Yes. So like you were just saying, when we initially met, we were kind of brainstorming, bouncing ideas off of each other. And then we, as we progressed on, I think I made a comment about masturbation and shame and touching yourself. And, that's like a private thing that you keep quiet. But when we're talking about healing our sexual traumas and, providing safety for ourselves, the best way to do that is to create the experience for yourself. So touching yourself, you creating and establishing that connection between your mind and your body and no longer disassociating when someone touches you is so profound. It is so profound. And I feel like masturbation and touching yourself is the first key to, the first step in that journey. Because I believe that if you don't know what you like you can't articulate what you like. You can't verbalize what you don't even know. If you don't know, you can't say it. And if you can't say it, you can't experience it, you know? So when you take that time to hone in with the self, be a little bit introspective, don't make yourself feel weird about it, which the first couple times, yes, it feels really weird. You're like, it's just weird because there's so much shame in the world around it, and so much like
around masturbating. Is that
around masturbation, around sex in general, and especially women are not supposed to be openly sexual. Like,
I know
it's terrible, and I think it's so bad. But men can, do whatever. But that's a whole nother story.
Not anymore, men. We're coming out of the closet. We're gonna have our toys in hand.
We're balancing the scales. So, I really believe that touching yourself, creating that connection with the self, finding out what feels good in your body, that's the key for a lot of people. And I feel like the reason it takes us so long as women to get to that point in our life, like you were saying, I never had an orgasm for, this many years. It's because from a young age, we're definitely not taught to touch ourselves, especially as teenagers. That is shameful. Even having your period, when you get your first period, it's like, oh my God, I don't want anyone to see it. Oh my God, I don't want anyone to know. Oh my God, da 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 da. Even as a grown woman, if you get your period, or at least, sometimes I get my period, I don't even want to tell my partner because I'm like, oh, he's not going to want to touch me. Or like, there's just so many horrible stigmas around it.
Yeah, I tell mine. I overcame. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I got to jump in on the period thing. Because I find that, like, I have my own story. I said this on the episode with Michelle. We were talking about the period, and there was some like programming. There was shame with my mother not wanting to even say the word vagina, not help me apply tampons or pads, or it was a pad at the time because I was probably 6th grade, 5th grade, whatever. And so I thought there was something wrong with my vagina. Yeah. And I was a heavy masturbator from a young age. I was like a masturbator addict. I was all over the house, and I didn't know you weren't supposed to do that. Then I found out I was bad. So I'm kidding. But it was bad. So can't go to McDonald's and masturbate in the tunnel. So anyway, so I just find it interesting. But with the period and oh God, period and sex, like I think there's some kind of religious thing where they said you're not supposed to during sex. So when I finally met a few guys or partners that were like, we don't care, it's just this or that. And I was like, but it's blood. Like you could get AIDS. And then I'm like, wait,
no,
I don't have AIDS. Well, I'm really good at get yourself tested, guys.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
I get tested on the reg. I have my papers. You got your papers. We're good. And so then I was like, why not, murder scene? Let's do it. So it's, sorry. it's a awful joke, but
that's the thing. That. Like from a young age, we are taught, and then you get older and you're like, no one cares. No one really cares. No one cares if you have a bush. Like, no one cares.
A lot of gentlemen callers I've had as of late have told me they prefer that because
they love it.
Without it, they said it feels virginal, but also naive. Very, like they're with a very young
pedophile-ish. And
I never, because the only ones naturally are young children.
Exactly.
Before 5th grade.
Exactly. So I love that. I kind of, shout out to the men this one time for kind of like, opening that like, oh, they don't care. So why should we? And honestly, even if your partner does or doesn't care, you still shouldn't, because if it doesn't feel good for you, it doesn't matter. And again, that's like back to our main point of finding that comfort within yourself.
Right.
And like, do I like a Brazilian? Do I like a strip? Do I like a full bush? Do I like the butt strip? Like,
It is said if you get to the top of this mountain and clear your sacral chakra that you will have the best sex ever. This is extremely treacherous and it could lead to our own death. Me and my guy are trying to get to the summit, if you know what I'm saying. They say there are horse flies, rattlesnakes, and coyotes out here. Yes! I is sage. It clears negative energies and gets things moving.
Things like that. But touching yourself and finding, what you like, and then being able to share that with someone just creates not only beginning an experience with yourself, but then it creates more intimacy in your relationships with your partners, because you can say, hey, oh, that feels good, keep doing that. Or, hey, I don't really like that. This makes me feel not safe. This act triggers me, or when we do this, so let's not do that. And being able to have that communication. And sometimes even as women, we don't want to say that. We don't want to be like, hey, like, don't do that. Like, don't, and we kind of shut down and we disassociate and we let it happen anyways, or
we feel, whether we realize it or not, when we don't say no, because you can't say yes till you learn no.
Yeah.
We are betraying ourselves. And even if you don't want to view it that way, you are trusting yourself a little bit less every time.
Yes.
Because you can't find a protector if you are not. I always say, who's your daddy? I'm my daddy. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to protect me. I got to learn to say no for my inner child to feel safe.
In those situations, you don't feel safe. And it just honestly furthers the trauma and furthers the energetic blockage that occurs in that sacral chakra. And you just made a really good point about trusting yourself. Your body could be and this is the importance of creating a mind-body connection. Your body could be telling you no in 1,000 ways, and you could still be ignoring it because you are not in tune with your body, And sometimes what that may look like is, in college and into my early adulthood, I'm 25 now. I've had friends who have been with partners for a while, and they're like, "Oh, girl, like I have BV every week. Oh my gosh, I'm getting chronic yeast infections. Oh my gosh, I always have UTIs."
What's BV? Sorry.
Bacterial vaginosis. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I've had that.
Yeah, an infection. It's an infection.
Yeah.
And they're having these recurring issues, physically, because that blockage is manifesting as a physical bacterial infection. That's your body telling you, you don't need to be with that person. That's your body literally rejecting that person.
So let me get this straight. So you're saying potentially, and I'm rolling with this because I've heard the thing about emotions are linked to disease is linked to disease. I've heard this.
Yes.
So what you're saying is if I sleep with a man and I get a UTI, then that could mean my body is signaling to me that his pH sploosh is not meant to be in this temple.
Yes. So it sounds a little extreme, to say, I'm not supposed to be with them. I'm not saying that's the case every single time, but essentially that very much could be. That could be your body telling you. And the crazy, and I've had this experience, so I'm going to just speak for my own this time. So I was hanging out with someone. It was kind of new. I wasn't really ready to be sexual, but I was kind of like, oh, okay, there's no reason not to. And then next thing I know, yeast infection. And I knew it. I just knew I was going to get it. And in that moment, I kind of had to not laugh, but sort of laugh, because it's like, you knew better. You knew you shouldn't have done that.
You felt it before it even went in. You felt a hesitance in your intuition.
Exactly. So it's just, and that's just me again ignoring other signs of my body or other signs from my intuition, just saying okay, you can have sex with this person, but maybe not right now, or just say, oh, this person's new, but this isn't really going to be a good partnership. So. And those are things you already kind of know when you meet someone, when you go into it, how serious it's, going to be in a way. But, I had that experience, and I was like, in my head, I'm just like, bruh, I knew better and I didn't do better.
Girl, listen to this, Jordan, because even if you guys don't believe in this stuff, I had something just happen. I'm going to get vulnerable with you because that's what this is about. I'm not going to leave you hanging.
Thank you.
All right, so this was effing weird, all right? I've gotten yeast infections. I've got the BV. Yeah, yes. I've been on some antibiotics. I love talking about sex, guys, and I love doing it. So,
Yeah.
recently I became single, and my roommate, temporarily staying with, was like, we have this neighbor. He's kind of a love bomber, but we'll introduce you guys. And I was like, I ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
Then it put my ego wants to say, but you're different. But no, I was like, no. So I met him and I was like, he's not all that. Why are girls? And then he starts buying me stuff all the time, buying me stuff. And I'm like, no. But then I've been doing this divine feminine thing, receive.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be open. So I was learning in the process of receiving from said love bomber. And so I'm receiving from the love bomber man. And so I decide, man, in my last relationship, I was not receiving sexually at all because he had sexual trauma that was not dealt with. And a girl was horny. So I was listening to my intuition and I was like, he kind of gives me the cringe because he's so fake. And he's like, you're the most amazing woman I've ever met. I've never met anyone like you. I'm like, you don't even have to know me yet. I'm a pill. And I sure as hell wouldn't marry you. I don't know. I don't even know what I think about you yet. But anyway, we slept together. And it was great. The sex was much needed. He couldn't handle all of this. But so, okay, the next day I start feeling hungover and I don't drink. So I'm like, what is this? And I got a headache and I was hungover. I've had all the different types of kitty cat infections. And 3 days later, I feel even worse. So I go into the doctor. My urine was dark yellow. And I was like, UTI, right? Maybe UTI, but it didn't hurt. It was weird. It felt different. So my doctor ran a test and called me immediately. He was like, you have E. coli. E. coli.
Whoa.
From the D. Dirty D. But anyway, talk about manifestation. Stay away from the love bomber. It did not end well, by the way. But I got a bog bag.
Not surprised it didn't end well. Thank you for sharing that because, again, that's going back to like trusting yourself and, learning that intuition because like you were saying, it's like you knew something was off and then boom, there it is.
I mean, he got me a bog bag and a pickleball racket with butterflies. That was really my vibe. He really put a lot into this, like took me out to eat. And I was like, I don't want a sugar daddy. I even said it to him. I said, listen, I don't do sugar daddies. And he's like, I'm not your sugar daddy. You're the most amazing woman in the world. And I'm like, Jesus. But anyway, we got E. coli. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for sharing your vulnerability and your story. And I think that's what it's about. We need to share this, especially women, and I'm going to stick with women here in this as my own kind of feminist, because we have not been allowed to speak out about this stuff, about periods, UTIs, STDs, all these things. There's so much shame and touching ourselves.
Yeah.
Bringing it back around here about masturbation. That's, and I'm all about adult entertainment. But it's like being your own adult entertainment.
Yeah.
Filming your own adult entertainment.
Be your own porn star.
I love it.
I like that. Seriously, though, like,
I love it.
It's just you. It feels a little weird, but it's just you in your room. Put your dog in the living room so your dog doesn't see. Like,
go bingo.
And the beautiful thing about doing it yourself is if you don't like it, you can stop. And that's okay. And you don't know if you like something and you don't know if you don't like something until you do it. So, like, try it out. Get the toys, experiment, use your fingers, use your spit, use whatever. And I like how you also just spoke about how you were still able to learn things or learn about receiving, even though it was from someone who's a love bomber. So I feel like that's a huge part of sometimes we are in relationships or transactions or situationships, whatever you want to call it, with people who we know are not good for us, who are maybe hurting us or lowering our vibration in a way, but we're still learning, we're still having experiences, and you're still like taking good things away from that. And I really love that because It's just cool. It's not like you have to shut down and be like, oh, he was a crappy person. I hate him forever. Da, 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 da. It's like, okay, it didn't work out. You got me sick. But I learned another lesson in a different way. So,
well, you learn to trust yourself.
Yeah. And being able to receive translates not to just gifts, but like receive oral pleasure, receive physical pleasure, receive receive sexual energy, period. Because ultimately, sex is an energetic exchange between two people. Like, if you truly think about sex, like in some way, shape, or form, there's some type of entering another person's body. Like, that's so profound to me and so serious to me. And it wasn't always serious to me, I love sex too. Growing up, it's just like, oh, this is just what girls and boys do. And then, like, hindsight, it's like, oh, wait, I was actually being assaulted.
Thanks for joining the Life in Red today, where we embrace passion, confidence, and positive sexuality. Keep painting your journey in bold red strokes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us so that you never miss out on living your best red life. Ready for more? Stay passionate, stay red. See you next episode.